So back to our comic. What I'm going to do is actually delete this satellite because it doesn't really belong in this comic. But the explanation of the delay is going to help us in explaining how to place black frames to block out the miscellaneous images from the other panel. So if you've seen Comixology or any the guided view or any other comics, there's always like black borders to actually accentuate the panel that you're looking at. So I'll post a link to this, but I've created a basically a window. Basically, it's just a black image with a window or a square cut out of it. If you see that checker pattern, is just the in Photoshop that indicates that it's see-through and transparent. Also, I've cut in little notches, triangular notches on the width and height points here. So if you drew a line from here all the way down, it would intersect the point of that triangle. Same here and across as well. And I'll explain later how to use that. So let's go back to the comic. So you remember we basically zoomed in on this comic, on this first panel at this point. So this takes 2 seconds. Let's make it 1 second actually. And what you want to do now is add another image. And this image is called black crop dot png. Well, actually added 2 zeros at the beginning just so that it would go up in your alphabetically, so it's easier to find. Okay, so I've uploaded, and of course the 0 point it places it at the top left corner of the image at the 0 point, which is right at the top left of the canvas. And if I move it around, you can see the actual window that's happening. Well, you're probably going to say, hey, that's a square, and the image we want to crop out is a rectangle. But just don't forget, we can change the proportions of the frame, the image. So what you want to do is go to the lock aspect ratio and click it to unlock it. And what you want to do now is to basically reduce the width so that the edge of the frame fits the panel exactly. It's at this point, the handlebars on the edge of the image, sorry, is out of frame when you have this so large. So we're going to use this slider scale, but the slider scale actually reduces it proportionally. But let's just worry about the width for now. You can get it close enough. So maybe not in this image, but in some images where there's a lot of black on the side, it's kind of hard to tell where the image begins and ends. So that's why I put these notches at the bottom here. If you move the frame up, you can see where the notch is touching the frame there. You can see this one is actually wide of the frame. So if you use these as an indicator for the width, it's almost there. I'm going to increase the width just a little bit by clicking on the arrow, clicking and holding the width arrows up and down here, and you can see that it's basically right in the middle of the of that black frame. So the height, now that I've unlocked the aspect ratio, if I increase the height, the width would stay the same. Now I can use this the arrow keys of the height, but that's going to take forever. I'm just going to put in a value that I'm guessing is what it will be. I'll put in 1500. And as you can see, it's still short of the top and bottom. But I don't really have to get it right on the the frame. If I overshoot it, nobody would know because it's out of the canvas. So I'm gonna put in 1800, and if I adjust it, you can see that it's well past the top and bottom. So that works. So basically, I've been editing the start of the frame. Actually, I should have been editing the end of it. The end is where I placed it actually. So let's move the values from the start to the end by clicking on the copy start buttons on the end. So the start and end is basically the same. I'll do an opacity of 0 just so that it fades in, and a duration of 0.5, and I'll select these out again. So let's now preview what's going to happen. So as you can see, the image zooms into place and then the black bars come on. My theory is that my philosophy is you don't want to waste the reader's time on a lot of not really that essential animation. You want the black bar to come on at the exact same time as the zooming in of the image. So I'm going to put a -5 value on it so they kind of happen almost at the same time. Oops, sorry, I think I put a positive 0.5. I should put -0.5, you can see. Yeah, so they both happen at the same time. So basically you're going to do this throughout the panels.